Welcome to the deep dive. Today, let's maybe forget the idea of one perfect golf swing for everyone.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Because we're really focusing on your swing. We've gone through some pretty interesting biomechanical research,
hmm
and it seems to point towards one core idea. Understanding how your body naturally moves could be, well, the secret sauce.
Exactly. It's about unlocking a more efficient game, maybe more power too.
So this deep dive, it's centered around a framework called the core zone system.
Right.
And our mission really is to explore how figuring out your main core zone, like they call them upper, mid, or lower core, how that could lead to a swing that actually fits you.
It's a fascinating shift, isn't it? Instead of forcing yourself into, some pro's swing model.
Right, like trying to copy someone else exactly.
Yeah. We're looking at how your body prefers to move. The research we looked at is pretty clear. How you naturally start and sequence movement deeply affects your best swing. So this core zone system, it basically groups golfers into these three types, upper, mid, lower, based on where your body naturally generates movement and finds stability.
Upper, mid, lower core. Okay, so this isn't just about like having strong abs or doing crunches.
No, that's a really important point. It's not about general core strength in that sense.
It's more specific.
Much more specific. Think of it as a dominant region, like a natural command center for your movement in the swing.
Like a starting point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like how some people naturally step forward with their right foot. Your core zone influences where your body wants to kick things off in the golf swing.
Okay, so how does someone figure this out? What are the clues for, say, the upper core type?
Well, for upper core, some key indicators. You might feel your grip pressure more on the first pad of your hand.
The one closest to the wrist.
That's the one. And your weight might naturally favor the balls of your feet when you set up.
Okay.
You'll probably find a square pelvis feels comfortable in a slightly narrower stance, maybe 8 to 16 inches wide.
That seems quite specific, and it matters.
Oh, absolutely. Even just that subtle pressure shift can help you start the takeaway more smoothly. It can prevent that common thing where the arms just kind of run away from the body.
Right, the armsy takeaway. I see. Okay, what about the mid-core golfer? What signs should they look for?
Mid-core tends to feel grip pressure more across the knuckles, sort of centered in the hand.
More balance.
Yeah, and their weight often feels balanced right over the arches of the feet. Very centered feeling overall.
Okay.
And their stance for a square pelvis, usually somewhere in the middle, like 10 to 18 inches, it points to a more, let's say, synchronized start.
Less dominated by upper-lower body push?
Precisely. They often feel very connected throughout the swing, everything moving kind of together.
Gotcha. And the third type, lower core. What are their tells?
Lower core often feels that grip pressure deeper in the palm, maybe around the second pad.
Okay, deeper hold.
And their weight feels more grounded, definitely favoring the heels. They often like a slightly wider stance to feel stable, maybe 12 to 20 inches.
More anchored.
Exactly. That helps them load into their lower body effectively. And the research mentions simple tests you can do too.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Things like just noticing if one hand lifts easier than the other when you raise your arms, or paying attention to where you feel the club head during practice swings. Little feedback drills can give you clues.
Interesting. Okay, so we've got these three zones. Now, the grip, that's our only connection to the club. How does knowing your zone change how you should hold it? The research really hammered this point.
It did. This is where the personalization really clicks in. The grip is like the conduit for the energy you create.
Right.
So for an upper core player, that grip on the first pad, maybe with lighter pressure, neutral wrist, it actually helps encourage that early body rotation they naturally do.
It facilitates their pattern.
Exactly. It helps keep the arms and body connected, prevents that feeling of the arms swinging on their own track.
Makes sense. If your body wants to turn early, don't fight it with the grip. What about mid-core, the synchronized movers?
For them, the research points to a grip that sits more, let's say, squarely across the middle of the hand.
Okay.
This promotes that arms and torso together feeling, fitting their balanced pattern. It's about feeling like one unit right from the start.
And the lower core, the ground-up power folks, how's their grip different?
They often benefit from placing the grip deeper in the palm, sometimes a slightly stronger grip hold too, maybe shorter thumbs on the club.
Why is that?
It reinforces their grounded setup. It encourages loading power on that trail side, which is fundamental to how they generate force from the ground. Helps them feel secure as they build that pressure from below.
So the grip isn't just comfort, it's actually setting you up for efficient energy transfer based on your type.
Absolutely fundamental. Getting it wrong, misaligned with your core type, That's where you see a lot of compensations and inefficiencies creep in.
Right, you end up fighting your own body. Okay, let's move to the setup. Address position. You mentioned stance width, but the research says the whole setup isn't one size fits all either.
Not at all. It's the foundation, right? And it has to work with your natural balance structure, which we now know is tied to your core zone.
So, upper core, you said balls of the feet. How does the stance width help there?
That narrower range, the 8 to 16 inches, it supports that slightly more forward weight bias.
Hmm.
It makes it easier for them to initiate that rotation quickly from the start.
Okay. And mid core, balanced over the arches.
They usually find their sweet spot in that 10 to 18-inch range. It gives them a stable platform for that synchronized, unified motion they do so well.
Makes sense. And lower core, needing that wider base for ground force.
Yep, that 12 to 20-inch stance gives them the stability to really load into their glutes and legs, their posterior chain. Think about pushing something heavy. You'd naturally widen your stance, right?
Ah, you would.
And the research is pretty blunt about getting this wrong. Wrong stance width for your type, it can cause all sorts of problems.
Like what?
Restricted rotation, your shoulders getting tilted weirdly at address, even your whole swing axis collapsing on the way down, stuff you really don't want.
Definitely not. So dialing in that setup based on your core zone is step one for effortless power. Okay, let's get into the swing motion itself. The research says each type starts the downswing differently.
This is, I think, one of the most fascinating parts. It really shows your swing's DNA. The upper core player often initiates the downswing from the trail hip.
The hip starts it.
Yeah, the focus is on getting the torso rotating early, quite aggressively,
Yeah.
while the hands and arms are more passive, kind of pulled along by the body's turn.
Very rotational, led by the upper body.
Exactly. Speed comes from that early torque.
Okay. What about the mid-core player? How do they transition from the top?
They tend to unwind more gradually, shoulders and hips moving more in sync. It's less segmented.
Smoother.
Yeah, often described as more like a pendulum, a feeling of everything flowing together from the top. Very efficient transfer.
Okay. And the lower core player, building from the ground up, how does their downswing kick off?
It often starts with a subtle shift and rotation in the lower body, sometimes even a little pressure shift into the lead foot early on.
Using the ground.
Absolutely. That lets them tap into the energy stored in their legs and core, driving the swing from below. This often means they need that deeper knee flex in the backswing to really load up.
And if you mix these up, like an upper core player trying to start with the legs.
That's where you get timing nightmares, that out-of-sync feeling, compensations. It explains why some standard swing advice just doesn't work for certain people.
Totally. It has to match your body's preference. Now, the research mentioned a routine, the four-way express. What's that about?
Yeah, it's presented as a kind of pre-swing activation, a way to get your whole body feeling connected and ready to move according to your pattern.
How does it work?
It involves 4 movements. A shoulder roll activates torso rotation muscles. A knee flex for hip and leg mobility, important for ground force. A posterior pull.
Engaging the backside muscles.
Exactly, for stability. And then combining the posterior pull with the knee flex, integrating movements across all the swing planes.
Sagittal, frontal, transverse planes.
You got it. The idea is it enhances proprioception, your body awareness and symmetry. Helps you feel your natural balance and tendencies before you even swing.
Sounds like a solid way to prep. The research also keeps mentioning grip pressure and breathing. Seemingly small details, but how crucial are they?
They're surprisingly big. Ideal grip pressure, the sources suggest, is really light, like a 2 or 3 out of 10.
That light.
Yeah. Squeezing too hard creates tension, kills fluidity. Too loose, you lose control.
Okay, find the sweet spot. And breathing.
Deep diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing, is key for managing overall body tension, especially neck and shoulders, which can really restrict the swing.
How should you breathe?
They suggest a pattern. Slow 4-second inhale through the nose, hold for maybe 2 seconds, then a long, slow 6 to 8-second exhale.
Calms the nerves.
Calms the nervous system, promotes relaxation, gets you ready for a smooth sequence that fits your core zone. It's about letting your natural pattern come through without tension blocking it.
So, light grip, controlled breathing, helps you stay connected, and lets your core zone do its thing.
Okay, what about other factors like grip size and something called carrying angle?
Right, stability factors. Grip size directly impacts how your fingers and hands work. Too small. You might get too wristy, feel unstable.
We big.
Restrict your wrist hinge, make it hard to release the club properly. The goal is a size where your fingers wrap comfortably with that light pressure, supports balance, and engages the right muscle.
And carrying angle. That's the angle between arm and shaft at address.
Yeah, lead arm and shaft. It influences how your body naturally aligns with the club. There isn't one perfect angle per zone, but they gave an example, like around 157 degrees might feel balanced for a mid-core player.
And if it's off,
Too shallow, maybe the club face closes too easily, leading to hooks. Too steep, might feel like you're fighting the club. It should complement your biomechanics, let your core zone work easily.
it really is all connected. The research also talks about body axes, planes of motion, and functional asymmetries. How does knowing about these help? Well, the swing happens in 3 dimensions, right? Forward, backward, sagittal, side-to-side frontal, and rotation transverse.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, it's coordinated, but most of us have small imbalances, functional asymmetries. Maybe one shoulder sits higher, or we favor one side loading weight. Arm extension isn't perfectly equal.
Like from carrying your bag always on one side.
Exactly, that kind of thing. These little asymmetries can limit your rotation or cause inconsistencies.
Can you check for these yourself?
Yeah, the research mentions simple screens, like how easily can you bring a fist to your chest with each arm, or an open hand shoulder rotation test. They help you spot potential imbalances.
And then,
Once you're aware, you can use things like specific mobility drills, focusing on symmetrical breathing, or just being more conscious of a core-aligned posture. It's about minimizing limitations so your core zone can express itself fully.
so acknowledging your body's unique starting point, not just the ideal. Okay, finally, and this is cool. How does knowing your core type actually help you on the course, like with strategy?
Yeah, it brings it all together. Take the upper core player. Natural feel for precision, early rotation. Maybe they play smarter, favoring shorter clubs, taking more direct lines.
Then under pressure.
They might benefit from consciously thinking light grip pressure, maybe narrowing their focus just to the immediate shot, leveraging that precision feel.
Interesting. What about mid-core under pressure? They thrive on rhythm, right?
Exactly. So for them, maybe the key is to avoid overthinking mechanics. Trust the flow. Their strategy often involves a solid game plan, playing to their consistency.
Makes sense. Don't get bogged down in details. Trust the rhythm. And the lower core player, the ground force person.
They're often strong with longer clubs, maybe good in wind or firm conditions. Under pressure, they could try deepening their setup slightly, taking those deep breaths to feel grounded, and just trusting their strength.
Lean into what they do best.
Right. Don't try to be a finesse player if your strength is power from the ground up. Use your core zone advantage.
Wow. So this really is a whole game approach. It's not just swing mechanics. It affects setup, strategy, even managing pressure. This core zone system sounds like a powerful personalized blueprint.
It really does. I think the big takeaway is your swing should be your swing, an expression of how your body naturally works.
Not chasing some generic model.
Exactly. It encourages you, the listener, to get really aware of your own tendencies, grip, balance, how things feel when they move well.
So as you're listening, think about that. When you pick up a club, where does your weight naturally go? How do you like to hold it? What movements feel, easy and powerful?
Understanding your potential core zone, like this research suggests, it really could be the key. Might unlock that consistency, that power that feels authentic to you.
Yeah, it leaves you with a pretty interesting question to chew on, doesn't it?
It does. What if all those frustrations you had on the course, those shots that go wrong, what if it wasn't some deep flaw in your swing technique you need to fix? What if it was just a mismatch? A mismatch between the swing you were trying to make and the way your body actually wants to move efficiently.
That's definitely something worth thinking about next time you're on the range or the course. A completely different perspective.